Hey, are you having trouble getting anything out of the classic clamshell exercise? Well, today I'm going to show you a version that I find has far more carryover to squats, deadlifts, and anything where you're using your hip muscles while you are on your feet. Hi, I'm Vincent from Upright Health, where we help you move beyond your limitations so that you can live with confidence. Be sure to check out the description box below for helpful links to our do-it-yourself programs. So for this clamshell variation, I'm going to show you how to do it, common mistakes, and why it can have so much more carryover to squats and deadlifts. So to perform this exercise, you're going to place your feet on a wall. You're going to bend your knees to 90 degrees. You're going to bend your hips to anywhere between 60 degrees and 90 degrees. And you're going to have your spine in a fairly neutral shape, so not overly rounded and not overly arched, somewhere in the middle. Once you've got all of that going, you're going to make sure that you can feel your big toe mound, your little toe mound, and your heel firmly pressed against the wall. I'm going to be performing this exercise for my right hip, so I'm going to imagine a skewer going through my right thigh, and I'm going to think about rotating that skewer, and that is what is going to separate my knees. I'm going to rotate that skewer and only allow my knee to go up as high as it can without my feet coming off the wall. So this would be a proper rep, while this would not be proper and this would not be proper. So again, rotating at the hip, imagining a skewer going through the thigh, rotating, 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 only as high as you can go without losing your points of contact on your foot. Then once you've got a hang of that motion, make sure that you can feel the correct muscle performing that motion. Okay, it's this muscle right here, the glute max. Put your hand on it, make sure you can feel it squeezing every time you rotate your hip outwards like so. This exercise is not going to work unless you can feel the correct muscle performing the desired motion. And if you want to make this exercise even more challenging, or you're already a particularly strong lifter and you need the challenge to get your glutes firing, then put a resistance band around your thighs and perform the same motion. It's all the same cues. Sometimes you just need a little more resistance to feel the right muscle going. Common mistakes. Number one, shifting the top hip back like so as you rotate and lift the knee. So the reason this is a mistake is because it turns the movement into something else, as you can see. And if you do this, you're cheating the exercise and you're cheating yourself out of the benefits of the exercise. So one way you can counteract this bad habit is by thinking about reaching the knee away from you as you perform the movement. Common mistake number two, only thinking about lifting the knee upwards as opposed to thinking about rotating from the hip, and the knee is only lifting as a byproduct of that. You can't see it. This is the mistake, and this is the proper way to do it. You can't see it, but it's the intent. I'm telling you, this exercise will not work for you unless you have the intent of rotating from the hip and the knee just comes along for the ride. If you think about trying to lift the knee itself, it's going to feel different. Trust me on this. Common mistake number three, allowing the foot to come off of the wall. Now, this is a mistake because when you're squatting, you're deadlifting, you're running, whatever, you're never going to try to have your foot like this. Right? So In this exercise, we're trying to link your hip muscles, your hip rotation to your feet. So we got to make sure that your feet are behaving in the same way that they would in a squat or a deadlift. Firmly planted on the floor, in this case, firmly planted on the wall. So why does this exercise have so much potential carryover to your squats and deadlifts? To answer that, let's establish that in a squat or a deadlift, your foot muscles need to be active in maintaining the arches of your feet. Yes, it is possible to squat and deadlift with collapsed arches, but that's not optimal, and you will especially feel that effect if you're trying to one-legged squat or one-legged deadlift. So knowing that we need to have an active foot to have the most stable squat and deadlift, we must not only keep the foot muscles engaged, but keep the hip muscles engaged. Why? Because check out what happens when I collapse my arches. See how my knee caves in, my hip rotates inward, and vice versa. When I rotate my hip outwards, like so, that helps me maintain my arches. So we need both the foot muscles and the hip muscles, the glute muscles, to do their thing in order for these arches to be maintained, in order for you to have the most stable possible stance in your squat and deadlift. It's a combination of strong foot muscles and hip muscles, and this exercise is this clamshell on the wall. It teaches the hip muscles to do their part in the foot and hip relationship. And that's the video. If you found it helpful, be sure to check out the description box below for links to our do-it-yourself programs, one of which is a program dedicated entirely to improving your deadlift mechanics. And if you like the video, please like the video, subscribe, and share it with anyone you know who may find it helpful as well. And as always, remember that pain sucks, life shouldn't. Links to our do-it-yourself programs, including a link to a program, one of which is a program. Yeah.
One of which. That's what we used last time.
Yeah, that's the one.